All right, everybody, and welcome to BCB Live, the safest station in the nation. I'm trying to figure out a cool way to do the hidden mic and it be hidden on a white shirt. I'm trying to figure out exactly how to do that. So here it is. I think this is it right here. Tell me if this looks much better. Like, you tell me, producer, how does that look?
It does look much better. It's still not hidden, but it looks
Okay,
much better.
but I mean, it's more what?
Professional?
It looks a little more professional, but nothing like this. I mean, this is styling right here, man. The vest and the mic just right there. It's like I was made for it, like the mic was made.
Welcome to BCB Live, the safest station in the nation. Drive Safe Dave here along with Double Check Dale, man in the news desk today. And we've got Blake, of course, man in the boards over there, making sure all of the cool stuff comes up when it's supposed to.
And that we look good. And
yeah,
never heard.
The skinny filter is on, the one that makes you look narrower. Right, you got that one on. There you go. Look at that. Almost, yeah. That's all chest. And
that's all bravado.
Well, we are here on the safest station in the nation, here to talk a little bit to you guys. But before we do, let's talk a little bit about that Astro pitching that went on last night. Right? I mean, it was a record setter.
Yes, it was. Yes, it was.
I mean, you may not have been impressed with it, Blake, right? Because you're not rooting for them. You may not have been impressed because they're not in the game. But if you wanted to sit back and if you loved baseball, which if you like,
and I love baseball. And
I mean, it was for all intents and purposes, it was a no-hitter.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
I mean, those are pretty hard to do in playoff games.
Yep, that's a goose eggs across 9 innings.
That's hard to do. I mean, not a single hit. I mean, that's pretty hard to do in any game.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
In any right or wrong. I mean, any professional game, that's not easy. That doesn't happen every day.
No, it does not happen. Maybe 2-3 times a year throughout the year.
And then on a postseason play, it's only happened, once before?
Yeah, in World Series once before. So I mean,
and who pitched that game?
The perfect game, Don Larson of the Yankees. So
that is a record setter.
Yeah, that was a record setter. That was a complete game. And it's different. I mean, the game has changed, and now most.
Brett, how often do we let pitchers go all 9?
Well, that's it. I was just saying the game has changed. Now we get to that 90 to 100 pitch mark. They start pulling the starting pitcher out, and they bring in the bullpen. Now it's 3-4 pitchers a game. Where back in the day, one pitcher.
Well, and also those pitchers would throw a fit if they had pitched a no-hitter through 7.5, and you were going to say, well, it might be.
Yeah, you got 100 pitches, and you should probably come out now.
Yeah, there'd be an argument on the mound.
Yeah, that's it.
I mean, those days are gone and by. But anyway, it was an interesting game. It tied the series, so that means we at least go to 6, right? So we're at 2 apiece. So no matter what, we're at least 6 games into this.
2 more games of baseball this year. Professional
at least
baseball.
2, maybe 3.
And maybe 3. And the way this one's going, I would bet on all 3 of them right now.
Wow, and that's good for game, right? That's
good.
That makes
really
for a good series.
And I mean, it's interesting to see. Philadelphia's 1-1 in Houston, and Houston 1-1 in Philadelphia. So I mean, they're
it's all ball play.
Yep, it's
all ball play. Well, anyway, it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out. Enjoy the game if you like it. It is the World Series. They don't happen every day.
And even if you don't enjoy it, tune in and watch it because, I mean, this is baseball at the highest level, and there is some very big star power in this. I mean,
there's some talent.
There's some
talent. And you know what? It's going to be fun to watch, and we look forward to it. All right, so let's talk a little bit about let's me and you break down because I wanted to mention something today, and we were talking, and we're not going to talk about what you want to talk about safety yet. We're going to talk a little bit about what I want to talk. So. I was driving yesterday. I took my mom yesterday. She came in town, and I took her out to eat for just a minute. And we came across somebody had run into a fire engine that was parked, had hit a fire engine that was parked, a diagonal in the road.
Wow.
I mean, that's wow. Is that? I mean, to me. That screams you're getting a breathalyzer.
Yeah, that screams distracted driving.
Has to be, right? 100%, right?
Distracted or fell asleep.
I mean, it's a big fire, and I get there's a lot going on out there, and there's a lot happening, but But this fire engine had been, and there wasn't a lot of damage. Now, there was some damage to the vehicle that hit it.
Yeah.
But at first I thought it was part of the accident. And then and then the police are talking to this guy back on this side of them. There's no reason a fire engine would park on the other side of the accident. Like, oh, look, we got all this. Let's just park in the middle of the accident.
Yeah.
They would park to block all. And then I could see the paint on the fire engine as we were going by it really slowly, because now the fire truck's in an accident and there's another lane that's being taken up, right? Normally you get...
Yep. So they have to bring a second fire engine out to protect that accident scene, Dave.
And I'm just looking at it and I'm thinking to myself, and that's the reason I wore this sign today. It is a sign that mentions emergency vehicles up ahead. And they put these out a lot of the times, like TxDOT here in Texas DOT. They'll drop these right at an accident, so you'll slow down, so you'll know, especially over a hill or around a curve or somewhere where it's blinded. They'll sometimes put these up because you can't see the disco lights running up ahead over a hill or up ahead around a curve.
Yeah, that advance warning. I mean, we'd say, up over a hill or a curve. Last week we said triangles. We talked about up over a hill. Give them that advance warning. And so, I mean, that's what it's all about, letting people know what's going on, communicating with other traffic, other people out there, try keeping them safe. And, geez, yesterday it didn't work, did it?
Yeah, I don't think anybody was hurt, and that's the reason they parked those vehicles like that. But we've had several firemen on the show, first responders on this show here on BCB Live, the safest station in the nation. And really, we've got to be honest with ourselves. They said the most dangerous part of their job is not running into the building with a fire, which is what I would think it would be, because you're going to be pretty hard pressed for me running into the fire unless it's to get my big screen TV out. But I'm just saying, honestly, they say the most dangerous part is being on the open road, dealing with an accident around other traffic. And that's something we've got to realize. If they truly believe that it's dangerous, if they truly believe that that's their most dangerous part of the job, there's a reason why.
Yeah. Well, weren't you saying a couple weeks ago that they came out with a new emergency vehicle to take out to the accident things? That's been a good place to try one out yesterday, right?
Yeah, so there's a town here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area that has a new truck with a trailer. It's a non-collision trailer. I mean, it's a barricade trailer that responds to any accident on the roadway. They just go out. If there's an accident, it goes out there, and what it is, it's like longer than a fire engine.
Yeah.
But it's like, and it's not your normal truck. It's not your normal trailer, but it is designed, it's orange and yellow and lots of lights and signs on it, and it's a bright orange wall that parks, and they park that truck at an angle, and it's got the cushions on it, like the barricade wall on it, made full metal and everything. And people have hit that. People have hit that, but it's designed to take the hit.
Yeah.
It's designed to absorb the impact.
Big orange, yellow, and
wall. WALL. Wall.
And they still hit it.
Yes. There's already, and you know what? I'm okay. I mean, but it was designed for that, because they said that they would rather put that out there than a fire engine, because when a fire engine gets hit, it's out of commission, because, as you well know, they're really good about making sure their equipment's always up to standard.
Always. Pre-trips and post-trips are most important. They walk around it every day if they use it or not.
That's right. And they wash it every day, right? Don't they roll the hoses out, roll them back up, make sure the equipment's running, make sure. And we want our first responders to do that.
Absolutely. Absolutely want to take it seriously. Want to make sure that it's ready to go and when it's time to go, because it's not a good thing. Hey, I got a flat tire. Oh, we got a call.
Service call. I mean, we need to make sure, oh, wait, I don't have the fitting for this hose. Yeah, you don't want any of that going on with your first. But really what's interesting about that truck, that trailer that they bring out, it's a barricade trailer. And it's designed to respond to all those accidents, and then it pulls at an angle instead of the
fire truck.
And it's run by and because it's emergency vehicles, they can be as long as they need it to be. It's an emergency vehicle, so therefore it doesn't have to follow the rules of the road. And they just bring it out there. It's pulled over there by a day cab. They got a day cab that pulls it out. It pulls it out, parks it at an angle, and then they set down the blockers on it so that it's like a brace that it has in there. So if it does even get hit by an 18-wheeler, it's to absorb it and deflect it. So even if an 18-wheeler piles into it, it'll absorb some of the impact and then deflect the truck away. Now, it may destroy the wall with an 18-wheeler, but as of right now, they've had many vehicles hit it, and it's bounced off. You can see markings on it. I mean, I'm like, okay, that big streak on there with the dent, that was a vehicle.
Yeah, it didn't come from the factory that way, did it?
Yeah,
so that's what that.
But it's a great idea.
Oh, it's a super idea.
A great idea. But herein lies the rub, and I just want everybody to think about it for a minute. When you're out there working and you're out there driving, it's important you stay focused to what you're doing.
Yeah.
It is an awful story to hit an emergency vehicle. I mean, a first responder. It is a horrible feeling. Yeah. And you got to be now. There have been times when people have slid into, the weather was bad and snow and ice. But I'm gonna tell you, like yesterday, there was no bad weather.
There was no ice.
There was here in Dallas. There was no ice. Yeah. There was no rain. It was sunshiny yesterday, and it was about 72. In fact, it was one of the nicest days in the world.
Yep. And so we got first responders, we got accidents and stuff, and so it just goes to show that importance. I'm going to throw safety at you right now. Hey, when you see that first responders out there, you see those disco lights going, slow down, move over, give them the room and the respect that they deserve because they're out there doing a job, cleaning something up, making something better. So slow it down, pull over, turn your four-way flashers on, communicate with the other ones out there.
Find a way.
That's there. So, I mean,
you just want to bring attention to what's going on out there. Yeah. And you know what? By throwing those four-ways on, you get the attention of everybody. Like, why are they throwing their four-ways on? Something's happening. Yep. And then you're hitting the brakes, and the brakes it's blinking, and they're like, uh-oh, they're doing something. But what you're doing is you're drawing attention. I mean, already if they can't see the fire engines or the disco lights going on, I get it. In the daytime, they're not as bright. But doesn't it speak volumes to how distracted driving we've become?
Yep. And I just had a thought. You know what they need at the scene of an accident? They need a jammer. So anybody within a mile of that accident scene, all cell phones are jammed and you can't.
You don't want that. You don't. What if the paramedic needs to call a doctor? I mean, I'm not.
They got sat phones for that. Come on, man. This is high tech. Let's think out. Let's think outside.
What are you, some military operational guy? They got sat phones and this.
Now, Dale's gonna look over at Dad. So.
But I'll tell you that just absolutely speaks volumes to what's going on out there and the distraction of the drivers. I want you to realize in your area, whatever it is, every state has a law in which you must either move over and or slow down as you pass emergency vehicles. And the emergency vehicle can be a tow truck.
Yep.
The emergency vehicle can be an ambulance. It can be a police car. It can be a fire truck.
Snowplow.
It can be an emergency. It's just an emergency vehicle, and it can be out there working. And you want to protect those people out there doing a fantastic service to clear the roadway.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what they're doing. They're clearing the roadway to make it safer for you while you're out there and give them the respect that they deserve. They are not an inconvenience.
No.
They're not. Here, I get it that you might be inconvenienced by having to stop in traffic or come to a complete stop while they clear the roadway. Yes, that might be an inconvenience. But the people working there, doing their job, they personally are not the inconvenience.
No. Somebody else caused that inconvenience. Don't transfer your dislike for that to the first responders. Give them the respect. Give them the space that they deserve out there.
Yeah. I'm just going to ask, when was the last time you saw a first responder on the side of the road recently? You remember?
No, I mean, it'd be a month or so ago when I was.
Has it been a month? What about you?
Last week.
Last week? I think we see them more than we realize. Yeah. And I'm talking about tow trucks. I'm talking about everybody out there on the road helping in emergency capacity. I'm just saying, I think we see it more than we realize. It's one of those things. It's like mile markers. Most people don't remember reading the mile marker that they just passed.
And some of the younger ones don't know what they're out there for.
But I mean, in an old truck driver, we look at every one of them.
Yeah.
I mean,
we do, and we count them.
It's just, old truck drivers. I'm just going to tell you, they always know where they are. They know what the last mile marker was. They pass. I don't know what it is. They just do. I mean, it's just part of what you do while you're out there. But I'll tell you, I want you to really do what you can out there today. Do what you can out there tomorrow. Do what you can to understand and appreciate and respect the work being done by the first responders on the road. It's primary. It is amazing that so many get hurt by accidents out there for whatever reason, because whether it be weather or accident or but what's really disturbing is the distracted drivers, or the ones that don't respect and slow down. Do you know which one? Do you know what the ones I'm talking about that just fly?
Yeah.
And we got to find a way to get the message out. Maybe we get another fireman in here and talk to another fireman. I would like to get the Carrollton Fire Department and talk about that truck. That would be awesome.
That would be awesome. We get some slides to go with it too, or maybe get them. Well, they won't bring it down.
They won't bring it out here, but it sure would be neat to talk to them about that. I think it's interesting. I think every fire department should have it, or first responder team, because I think that the idea that there's going to be somebody that doesn't pay attention run into it. That's scary. That we got to. Yeah. And I don't want to. And they have paid for that truck by not having to repair the fire truck.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy? Downtime, all other stuff. They've paid for that truck. That's crazy.
Yeah, and it makes them safer, because if you don't have to take a fire truck out of service, then you have that available when you really need it with the fires blazing. So, I mean, that is crazy that you have that many people. It just amazes me. We should look it up, and I probably will. How many get hit every year?
I think we'll talk about it. Maybe we'll do that. We'll find out exactly. I'll tell you what we're going to do, though. We did an extended version yesterday here on BCB Live. We had a great interview with John Kingston late in the show. We're going to go ahead and play that yesterday about fuel prices here. We think it's relevant. We think John brings a lot of knowledge here to the format. So we're going to play that real quick. It's a very short 10-minute interview. We're going to go ahead and play that really quick, and then Dale and I will come back in about 10 minutes, and we will finish up with safety.
Hey, welcome back to BCB Live. We're the safest station in the nation. We're joined, Drive Safe Day, by Mr. John Kingston from FreightWaves. John, what's going on? FreightWaves, Sonar, you're the data guy. And John, before you can answer that question, you got to look right here. You're a volatility guy. Look at this fuels chart right now. You're talking about volatility. Look at that. That is craziness.
Yeah, can you hear me, guys? Because I didn't get an audio check. Can you hear me?
We hear you, sir.
All right, good. Yeah, the fuel spread in Sonar, fuels.usa or localized, it's a very simple calculation between the wholesale price that's in the ULSDR data series in Sonar and the retail price, the DTS series. And when you see that kind of volatility, it'll tell you that the retailers, remember, the oil companies do not set the price at the retail level. They do set a wholesale price. And that wholesale price does move pretty much very, very high correlation with futures. Retail doesn't. When you get this kind of crazy volatility in the wholesale price, the retailers, they can't react that fast. And so this is why you get these nutty swings in this spread. So you go from a retailer 1 week having a price that's maybe making them a lot of money, and the next week not maybe making them a lot of money, and the price could be the same. This is why. This is because of the enormous volatility that we've seen really in oil markets all this year, and in diesel markets in particular, going back to the Russian invasion of Ukraine. So yeah, retailers. Retailers, their business is not set up really to make money on gasoline or diesel. It's set up to make money on all the other stuff. So, but the spread between the two, between wholesale and retail, has been absolutely nuts this year.
And John, as we look forward, it doesn't look like it's going to get any better, right? I mean, with winter coming on, with some of the more sanctions going to go on with Russia as we get over closer to the end of this month. I mean, it's just not going to get any better, it looks like, right?
No, there really isn't any when you say get better, you're talking in terms of the fuel spread, the volatility. And no, you're right. The sanctions are against Russia. Nobody's really sure what kind of impact that's going to have. The weather is always extremely volatile. In case everybody really doesn't understand, diesel is a distillate, so is heating oil. Diesel also can be a substitute for natural gas in some applications. So whether we have a cold winter or a warm winter, it's going to have a really big impact on diesel. I'd say more than in most years.
Unless, like the rumors we hear, and that's really a big question I have, because we hear it from the truck drivers, especially calling in emails saying, well, we may not have to worry about it because it looks like we're going to run out of diesel. John, talk to us a little bit about that.
All right. So this number that comes out every week from the EIA, the Energy Information Administration, got a lot of attention starting about 2 weeks ago. So they come out every Wednesday, the report's out today, with all sorts of statistical numbers on supply, numbers on demand. So there is a figure called days cover, and it's a very simple number. You take the total average consumption and you divide average daily consumption, and you divide that into inventories, and you come out with days cover. And days cover basically assumes, but says if all production out of refineries stopped and all imports stopped, how many days could inventories hold out? Now, that's not going to happen. The refining industry in the U.S. is not going to shut down. We're not going to stop imports. But, I mean, it's an important number because tight inventories will drive up the price. So around this time of year, that number should be somewhere around, I'd say 30, either side of 35 days. And as of like 2 weeks ago, it was 25 days. So that got picked up in a lot of media, a lot of social media, as we're going to run out of diesel in 25 days. That's not what it means. But it does mean that inventories are tight. And when inventories are tight, it will drive the price higher.
Also, a lot of discussion around the United States dumping from their reserves out onto the open market, and in talking and discussing that. And it's also led into a little bit of the talk around the truck stop about how much fuel's out there and stuff like that. Go ahead and speak to the oil reserves that they're putting out on the market to help stem the price of fuel.
Yeah, well, the sales from the SPR have been running at about, 800,000 to 1 million barrels a day now for several months. I have to go back and look at when they started. It's really been pretty amazing. It's certainly nothing that I've ever seen in my career covering oil. We've had certainly periods where oil was sold from the SPR, but that was usually in the wake of a hurricane. I know there was some sales back in 2011, I guess that was. When you had the Libyan revolution that pretty much shut down that country. But this sort of consistent sale of reserves, week in and week out that goes on for months is really unprecedented. I don't think there's any doubt that the price of oil is lower than it would have been had those sales not taken place. I mean, if you're putting 800,000 to 1 million barrels a day onto the market, that is as if the country of Algeria cloned itself, because that's about what Algeria makes. And I think, for those who are saying, well, this is no big deal, if Algeria suddenly disappeared from the market tomorrow, you'd have a lot of problems. If another Algeria suddenly was created, that would be very good for consumers. So I don't think there's any doubt that the price is probably lower than it would have been as a result of the sales. The problem is, for diesel consumers, is that it's a long way to go from the sale of crude oil to making diesel. And with restrained refining capacity, the price of diesel relative to the price of crude and relative to the price of gasoline has soared. So that's a really big issue here. So yes, the SPR sales have helped hold down the price of oil, but the impact on diesel is probably somewhat limited.
John, we have the big, and you have the big freight waves in Chattanooga going on right now. What's the big conversation right now that you're seeing out there at Freight Waves?
Well, it's been a great meeting. Of course, unfortunately, I'm surrounded here by a lot of my colleagues, and we've been working really hard, pumping out stories, onto freightwaves.com. So unfortunately, we haven't got out as much as we would like to. But look, it's always interesting to walk down the halls and see who's exhibiting, because that kind of tells you where the interest is. And right now this has been a great meeting, 1,800 people. First, we had a live event back in May. But I wasn't there, so that doesn't count, So this is my first one in 3 years. And what's interesting, of course, is that when you walk down the hallway and you look at the exhibitors, most of them are exhibiting something to do with transparency, or something to do with efficiency, automation of invoices, Internet of Things type of tools that aid in tracking freight. So those are the exhibitors. There's a lot of them here. Another theme that's actually happened twice, I'm not just saying this because I did the interview on one, is China, and we've heard several things about China, and that maybe they've got some long-term problems here. On the one hand, we had a very good speaker yesterday named Leland Miller, who's a Chinese expert, who says he just does not see the Chinese government continuing this constant, as he termed it, backstopping of bad companies, bad businesses, to keep them afloat, to to have a really good growth rate look apparent. And then this morning I interviewed a guy named John Ibbotson, who's a journalist who wrote a book about declining population. And he says, the Chinese are really in the process of getting slammed by their one-child policy, because the country is getting very old very fast, and there are not young people coming behind them. And then that leads to the question of immigration in the U.S. The U.S. is also dealing with a significantly lower birth rate. And how does it reverse that? I think John's view is that you can't really reverse the birth rate, but you can bolster your economy by increasing immigration, which, as you know, is a very controversial issue. So that was a great talk, and I'm not sure when that'll be put up on FreightWaves TV, but I definitely recommend people going and watching it because it was outstanding.
Yeah, those are the demographics. Let me tell you that, 3-5 years ago, I would have thought there's no chance I would ever want to get involved and listen to somebody talk about the demographics. It's absolutely the most interesting thing, because it is so relevant right now when you talk about the United States, when you talk about the immigration, and when you talk about China and some of the policies that they've held. We've had Donald Broughton talking about that. It's absolutely amazing, what happened from, many years ago, how it's kind of catching up to us today, the baby boomers.
Yeah, we told little vignettes. One of my favorite is that in China, the average Chinese child not only doesn't have siblings, but the average Chinese child doesn't have cousins either. Because after all these years of the one-child policy, it's highly likely that both parents are only children, so they don't have aunts and uncles, which means they don't have cousins. And the other little fact that kind of came up today, we were talking about the baby boom, of which I am a member in good standing, and the biggest surge of baby boomers during the whole, I think the baby boom was listed as going from like 1946 to 64. The biggest 3-year surge in births was 56 to 58. I was born in 56. And, people who were born in 56 last year turned 65, which means if they were in a job that they were keeping primarily for the benefits, they didn't need to do that anymore. They could go on Medicare. And then that happens this year with people who were born in 57, and next year with people who were born in 58. So these are all lots and lots of people exiting if they choose to exit, not like me, I have no choice, no desire to exit. If they do choose to exit, are there going to be enough people there to replace them? And increasingly the answer is no. And increasingly the answer to solving that then is just more immigrants.
Yeah, I was thinking and wondering, and hearing you say that, I was kind of just going to my mind, is our big hope for the future from COVID and everybody going back to work, from workplace to the home? I mean, did we see any benefit from births coming from that period? Has that data came out yet?
I've seen a couple little references to it, and this is not like the 1965 Great Blackout in New York where you had a baby boom 9 months later. It is pretty apparent that we did not get a COVID baby boom from everybody being locked down.
Gotcha. Nobody wanted to get near anybody, even during COVID. You know what? I'm good.
I do believe that that baby boom 9 months after the November 65 blackout is real. It is not urban myth. Apparently, there actually was a surge in babies like 9 months after. It was November 65. So, that would put it down to what, August 65? So I guess there's a lot of babies born in August.
Well,
65.
they didn't have good cable. They didn't have good cable
right,
TV
right,
in '65. So
It didn't matter if you had cable because you had no power either. So.
that's true. Exactly. They'd find something to do.
Hey, John, I want to thank you. I know you're a busy man. I know you got so much going on there. I want you to thank you for taking the time to come out here and join us here on BCB Live. John, before you get out of here, we are going to ask you to state your name and say you've been watching BCB Live, the safest station in the nation.
I'm John Kingston. You've been watching BCB Live, the safest station in the nation.
All right. Thanks,
All
John.
right.
We do appreciate
Hey, John,
it.
I appreciate you. Hey, great job out there again. Love your articles. I can't wait to see these on FreightWaves TV. I'll say it right now. I'll give you all a plug. Love the FreightWaves TV information. Tune in to that. John, give us a heads up, and we'll put it out there for you. We got to hear that interview. I'm telling you, demographics is for real.
Yeah, when it's up, I'll let you know, Rick.
All right. Thank you, John. Appreciate you.
Thanks, John. All right, there you go. That was a great interview we had yesterday late. We had a kind of an add-on yesterday. We had actually two people in interview yesterday, so we wanted to make sure we got to hear a little bit more about what was going on with fuel. All right, let's talk a little bit about safety.
Safety. Let's talk a little bit about safety. We're talking about, slips and falls this week. And so defense number 3, utilize PPE, personal protective equipment. Always wear footwear with slip-resistant soles. Wear those gloves when it's needed for the added grip. Do not wear cowboy boots, although a lot of cowboy boots have changed over the years if they have the slip-resistant soles. Just make sure that you're looking at the PPE, so when you get in and out of your trucks or up and down the trailers or ladders or wherever it may be, that you have the right PPE on. It helps protect you, helps keep you safe, helps keep you from fall.
And I'm gonna add to that. I'm gonna make sure that also, if you have an opportunity, if you can, use an umbrella. Use an umbrella if you need to. Also, make sure that you're and when you talk PPE, use a flashlight when necessary. If you're driving, if you're walking around in an area that's not well lit, make sure that you can see the ground that you're walking on. Also, wear bright lit clothing so that people can see you. Do everything that you can to communicate not only to yourself about your surroundings, but also that everybody can see you within the surroundings. So I agree with all those things. I think there's a lot more that can be added to that to make sure that you're safe. I think a raincoat sometimes is important.
I think a hat, a bump hat sometimes can be important.
A hat or anything like that, but make sure that whatever the gear that you're wearing is appropriate for the job that you're doing. I think it's very important.
Yeah, because did you know 34 professional drivers lost their lives in 2018 due to falls? That's 34 that didn't need to do it.
Yeah,
so,
and I'm telling you, it happens. It happens out of the cab. It happens out of the back off of the trailer. It happens it happens off of the catwalk. People get hurt.
Yep.
And we gotta make sure that we do everything that we can to pay attention when those things are going on.
Know your surroundings. Be aware of your surroundings.
Absolutely. All right. Definitely want to talk about that. Anything else?
Daylight savings time this weekend.
Is it really?
Yeah.
We're going to fall back?
Yep. We're falling back.
All right. Be aware that there is not going to be. You have been told here on the safest station in the nation, showing up. Right? If you show up an hour early at work.
Yeah.
Good job.
There you
going to
go.
say, if you walk in the door, just say, hey, I'm on Monday morning. You say, hey, I'm just trying to be early.
Yep. Just here because I love the job.
I love the job. All right, I'll tell you what. Hey, everybody, have a great, wonderful day, and thanks for joining us here on what?
Want to go look at videos, eh?
We can.
Let's look at
video. I don't know why I'm trying to get out of here too soon.
Oh, please.
Why didn't y'all slow me down? Oh, slow down. That's why
too
I didn't
close.
want to see this. That's why I didn't want to see this going on right here.
Yeah, too close. Just way too close. Just got to get back out of it, guys. And you probably recognize as a driver and you think, well, I'm going to pass or I'll move over soon. Soon isn't quick enough. You just got to back out of it. As soon as you recognize you're in a bad situation, take those steps to get out of it. Hit that brake, tap the brakes, get off the accelerator, whatever it takes.
All right, next video. What?
Again? This is a lot slower. We're going less than 50 miles an hour, but you still have to have
It looks like
the
you're climbing
space.
a hill.
Yeah, still have to have that proper space in
Thank
between
you for climbing a hill.
Even if you're climbing a hill, even if you're going down a
I
hill,
know.
still
I'm just
got to have
saying.
the proper
Yeah,
space.
I know.
mean,
I think we're losing some speed here. Somebody's losing some RPMs going up this hill. Gotta be careful. All right, next video. That arrow is pointing to a stop sign. If you missed it, it's pointing to a stop sign because
there's a stop sign there. Stop means stop.
and we.
You know, and this is a busy intersection. Just look at it. I mean, this intersection is busy with all the different traffic and the boulevard across the way. Stop means stop. It's there for a reason. Take that good look because there's plenty of distractions going on here.
And usually in these neighborhoods, you can also have pedestrian traffic. There's a lot of sidewalks. There's a lot of, you can have joggers out there. You can have bicyclists. You can have kids, motorcyclists, skateboarders, scooters. You can have all kinds of things, unicycles.
And right in front of the stop sign was "Do not stop on tracks" sign.
Do not stop on track sign.
So like I said, a lot going on in this intersection. Just got to be prepared for it. Make sure that we're doing everything we can to be safe. And stopping at stop signs is one of the first things to do.
All right, let's next video. All right, you do not have a stop here. However,
good job by the driver in this one, paying attention, seeing what's going on,
really,
recognizing that.
oh my goodness,
this car,
truck
thinks he should go. He should not have. But the truck driver in this one does it, like I said, great
But
job.
but the truck stopped. He just pulled out in front of.
Yeah, officer, I stopped.
I
just didn't
stopped.
yield.
However, I didn't yield to oncoming traffic.
But the driver does. The driver yields right away instead of takes it.
Yeah.
Great job.
Good job.
And now.
Now we can talk about leaving here the show, right?
Yep.
All right, hey, everybody, have a great, wonderful, safe day. We'll holler at y'all tomorrow at the same time, 12 o'clock Central Standard Time here on BCB Live.
The safest station in the nation.
See y'all tomorrow, everybody.
That's right. It's only Thursday.